Welcome back. In this module, we're going to talk about posting tests to Edline. The process for posting a test to Edline is very simple, and it follows the same format as posting a homework assignment to Edline. In this module, we'll further this exploration by talking about how to post an interactive test or quiz to Edline so that students can take the test online and have it graded by Edline. Click on the hyperlink for tests. You'll be able to see the contents and you'll be able to choose what you'd like to do. For the first test, we're going to go ahead and just add the study guide. So we'll add a document, and you'll notice that this form is exactly the same as it was in the assignments form. And we might say test on design. Please use this link for your study guide. There we go, and we'll choose a date for the test. I like to post mine on the test date. That way when the students get to it, if I'm not going to be posting the test online, they can see where the test date's going to fall. So we'll go ahead and say that it's going to be February 29th. And if we'd like to, we can go ahead and import an existing file, or we can enter text by hand. So we'll say review concepts 2 through 10. In your screenwriting text. Make sure you understand all key vocabulary. And if I wanted to put any extra detail in there, I could. For the sake of time and example, I'm going to shorten that down. If I'd like to, I can place an optional link in here to an outside resource if there was a sample quiz online. Some of the textbook companies do publish practice tests and practice quizzes. You could put a direct link right there for it, or you could link to something else on Edline, and I could also choose to upload a picture if I'd like. I could multiple post this out to many other classes if I taught some of the same sections, and then I'll just go ahead and hit save and return. When we go out to the class page, you'll notice that the test is on there. Now if I wanted to, I could go ahead under my content, and we could click on Combined Calendar. Under Combined Calendar, you'll see the combined calendar for this user, which would be the teacher. So there won't be any other classes in here because it's specific to me, but the students would have other classes that they're assigned to in here. But if you wanted to, we could see all of these hyperlinked assignments. So here's that test on design. Now the reason we use the different folders is for this highlight purpose. So if I wanted to highlight just tests, if I were logged in as a student, it would highlight only the tests for me. If I wanted to highlight all assignments, you can see all the homework assignments for myself are highlighted. And that's the point of using the assignments folder versus the tests folder. Now if I added a new folder to contents, which we'll review in a later module, I could also add highlight opportunities in there for my students to highlight certain other aspects of what they want to see specifically in the combined calendar. Also, you can see in that combined calendar, just to review from previous modules, it would have all of the information I would need in there, so I could click on the hyperlink and it would take me to that information. The more information you provide for your students under those links or the worksheets, if you put those behind those links, the more time you'll save on the back end. Another aspect of posting tests to Edline is Edline's quiz and test feature. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into the test folder and I'll show you how to post one of these. Remembering that we click on tests and then we can see the management view here. We're going to go ahead and click on quiz and click add. Alright, you'll notice this form is very much the same as the homework hand-in form. So we go ahead and give it a test title, so that it identifies as the technology from the on the combined calendar. We'll go ahead and give this a chapter 1 test. Take your test online here. We'll choose a calendar date for this to show up in our combined calendar. I'll go ahead and give it the 29th again. Again, if I wanted to post out to multiple groups, I have that option by just double clicking on them or clicking and choosing add for each class that I wanted to work with. Now the setup is the difference versus the regular test where we post a study guide or information about the test. In this one, because it's interactive, we have to actually build the quiz and select a few more options. So we'll go ahead and build my quiz, and we'll talk about that. If you wanted to, Edline does offer the option of importing questions, and it has to be in a certain format. And under more info here, it will give us that format. For this quiz, we're going to go ahead and select directions because we want to give them plain text instructions to user in position 1, so that would be the first item that the test taker would see. And we say directions. Select the best answer for the question below. Only one correct answer per question. Now I'm setting the stage here for a multiple choice test. We'll go ahead and hit save and return. And you'll notice in position 1 it places my directions. So of course the user has to do nothing there but read those. So there's no grading or anything that goes with that. But now I'm going to go ahead and choose multiple choice. I can do multiple picks allowed. Obviously based on my directions I'm going to go with only one pick allowed. I can choose a yes or no question or true and false. Essentially the same thing. Short typed answer, which is one line of text. This would be a fill in the blank type situation. You can also have Edline score that for you. Multiple lines of text will have to be hand scored per question, but it will allow you to collect the answers via the Edline. The drop down list, again, it's almost like multiple choice, but they're just dropping down and choosing the answer that best fits. Homework hand-in, this would be they had to complete an outside essay and turn it in. And you can mix all the different questions that go on this test. Handout, which means that I would give them something to fill in and then maybe turn back in a homework hand-in. So this is a link where they can download a file. So say I wanted them to manipulate a file in Flash for a technology course. I could give them the file, the original file, for them to manipulate if I wanted to do that, and then again directions for users. So again, as I said, we're setting the stage for multiple choice. I'm going to go ahead and set a multiple choice questions. What is the best way to frame a shot of an individual? And then we go ahead down in choices and we type in our choices. We can say the rule of fourths, rule of thirds, rule of halves, and maybe I'm only going to give 2 choices. Well, the rule of thirds is the correct answer, so we tell Edline how to score it. We can tell it how many points. It will default to 1 point per question, so they're all even. But if you had essay questions, you might want those worth 5 points or 10 points. And then, do we want to require the question? Yes. Now, if we wanted to export the data and who chose what question, which would be relative to the data collection process, which gears lesson plans, you can see how powerful this all of a sudden became, because now we can export almost an item analysis of, Leslie Adler chose question A for, question number 1. Philip chose question B, and then we're going to go ahead into the short field label, and this is where we would say question 1, or I might even say rule of thirds. When you're done with this question, you're going to go back up to the top and you can click on save and return, and you see that the question is now in there, now in the test. If you wanted to, I could go ahead and clone this question, and I could change up the question response or the stem of the question, or maybe some of the distractors down below and change the question around a little bit if this is the layout I want. I could even move the position. Of course, we want the directions be moved to 2. We don't want that to happen. We want them to be in position 1, and it will number our test down here. Once we're done with this, and I've set up all of my questions. I just go ahead and click on Done. I come back to the original form. Edline will take me back to the original form, and then I can choose, do I want students to access their work after submission? So essentially with no as a default, we would say we don't want them, if they were to click back on the link, it would say you've already submitted this quiz, and that's it. They can't see their answers, so they can't share them across. Yes, view only. This would allow them to see what questions they got incorrect on the test. And then yes, view and edit will allow them to go back and make changes to their test before you come back in and click it to no. You can come back at a later time and choose no or yes, view only at a later time to allow the students to see the work that they've done. Particularly after the semester exam, while they take the exam before I record it in the gradebook, I don't want them making changes, but then afterwards the students want to know why they got what they got on the exam, so I come back in and I flip it to yes, view only, and this allows them to see which ones were marked wrong and what the correct answer was. But I don't want them doing that because the next period might have to come in and take the test. I can display grading and feedback to users. I can also sync this with my gradebook. If you're using GradeQuick Web, it has the ability to sync it into the gradebook, and it will automatically record it into a column in the current term. This is nice. Feature. The only thing I caution you on is you cannot go back and override those grades if you sync it with the gradebook until you come back to this on Edline, switch it to no. It will keep what's in the gradebook already and import nothing further, but you can, on the Windows side of GradeQuick Web, it will allow you to make changes then. So you could bump a score if there was a discrepancy with a question, you could change the points possible, you could even go in and take recorded things for students who possibly have an IEP and took a modified version of the test. Responses are anonymous. Obviously with a test you probably wouldn't want that selected, but that would give anonymity to each of the responders. When I'm done, I go ahead and hit Allow Quiz Submissions. That will make my quiz or test live to my students. And then after they're done, I can go back to Response Status by User, and I can see, obviously no one has taken this in the short few minutes I was demonstrating, but this would be an option for you to come back and see who got what right or wrong on the test, what their grades were. Or I can email all the non-submitters of the class. So if their emails are in the system, I can send them a short email to remind them, hey, you've got to go take that. Also grading and feedback. So here I can see who took it, who didn't submit it, and here I can see what the grading and feedback were. When I'm done, I hit Save and Return, and that test is live to my students. I'm going to go ahead back out to the class page, and you'll notice that there it is. Chapter 1 test. Take your test online here. It's also in the test link. Edline knows who you are, where it belongs, so it also will place it in the tests folder on Edline. As you can see, posting a test to Edline or even study guides with the categorization of tests is a rather simple process. The interactive quiz and interactive assignment is a more complicated process, but will also save you that back-end work. In the next module, we're going to talk about calendar controls and how to roll calendar items forward or back based on school closure or schedule changes that happen throughout the school year.